Welcome to Break the Cycle with Bethany Dotson, the podcast for high achieving professional women who struggle with codependency, attracting emotionally unavailable partners, and who repeat dysfunctional patterns in love. I'm your host, Bethany Dotson, and if you want to learn more about how to break your cycle in love, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and be the first to know when a new episode drops. I'll see you inside. Hey, everybody. I'm going to talk about what not to do after a divorce or a narcissistic ex. Maybe you're dealing with both right now. So, if you're unfamiliar with my work, I work with high achieving professional women who are successful in other areas of their life. Often they're in a helping profession, healthcare, helping people solve problems, things of that nature. But chronically struggle with emotionally unavailable or narcissistic partners, chronic unfulfillment in their love life, poor boundaries, people pleasing, complex trauma symptoms. So, I want to talk about four common traps that a lot of people, in spite of their best intentions, when they're trying to heal, get stuck in. And these four traps block them from actually having deeper love and connection from other people in their life. And it keeps them in a state of victimhood and a state of keeping love out by keeping their guard way up. The first thing that I want to cover with you today is the first mistake or first trap is living in blame. I've talked about this a lot. It's worth repeating because it's a huge issue. And if you've been with a partner who was emotionally abusive, you may have been on the receiving end of somebody making you the problem. You may have even grown up in a childhood where you were made to be the problem. You may wind up in work environments where everybody seems to get promoted but you, and you feel like the problem. But what happens when you leave a divorce, and especially a narcissistic relationship, is a lot of people get stuck blaming their ex and blaming the downfall of the relationship on their ex. And if it's not their ex that they're blaming, they go back and they blame their childhood. Or if they've been out of the relationship for a little while, like years, and they're dating again now, they start to blame their age or they blame the men on dating apps. They blame the city that they live in. They're basically living in blame. And this is going to keep you massively stuck. Why? Because when you live in blame, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, but I'll cover it here. When you live in blame, you basically feel on a deeper level like something's wrong with you. You feel like everybody else is getting it right and you're not. When you're living in blame, you tend to feel victimized pretty easily by things that are happening in your life, by triggers in your environment. And when you feel victimized and you feel like something's wrong with you, your body produces chemicals, hormonal releases, right? You produce adrenaline, your stomach tightens, your shoulders tighten up, your jaw, your throat tightens up. A lot of people that we work with have a hard time communicating and they literally feel like that their throat is closing off. So all of that is a trauma response, number one, and it's a way of your body responding to your thoughts and your body responding to how you're reacting to your environment. So basically, when you live in blame and you feel like the victim all the time, you feel like you can't get it right. What's really happening is that you're just remaining hooked to those negative feelings of, I can't get it right. You're thinking negative thoughts, your body's feeling contracted and a lot of people are unaware that's happening for them. They keep running into the same type of man, they keep running into the same type of coworker, the same type of friend, and they're like, "What am I doing that's causing me to do this?" You have to ask yourself honestly, are you living as a victim? Are you still feeling like the world is out to get you? When you live like a victim, and this has been shown in science, neuroscience, and quantum physics over the years in research, when you feel like a victim, you literally drain your own energy. And when you feel like a victim, you are more likely to attract people who are takers, people who need or want consciously or unconsciously to victimize another person because they sense unconsciously that you're weak in some level, or you don't have enough value, or you don't value yourself, or you don't have enough confidence in yourself. And so they might not be consciously aware that they're taking advantage of you, but that's what you're going to attract because you're a match emotionally and energetically for that. So if you're living in blame, understand that this is a trap that's going to keep you stuck. And one of the big things that I have my clients do when we work together is really take honest looks at themselves and accepting responsibility for their choices, becoming extremely hyper self aware of where they're living emotionally every single day, what choices they're making every single day. When you become aware of what you're doing and how you're thinking and how you're feeling, and then you choose to correct that and shift into a different, more empowering state, that produces long term change. And unfortunately, people spend a lot of time venting and coaching with a coach that's not holding their feet to the fire, or venting in therapy, or venting to their friends and complaining and not getting anywhere because complaining and feeling like the victim is a familiar place. And the other downside of being stuck in the blame game is that it feels good. There's an emotional payoff to talking about how unfair your ex was, or how unfair your boss is, or how unfair your family is to you. There's a payoff that you get emotionally because you get to be right in that. And if you're going to have a healthy relationship with anybody, and you're going to have a healthy relationship with yourself, and you want to feel better every day, and you want to feel happy, you want to feel deeply connected with life and yourself, you can't do that going into it and wanting to be right all the time and needing to be right, because that's then becomes a control issue. And we know, you probably know from relationship history, that control does not equal connection. Okay. It equals a lot of disconnection and a lot of pain. So, trap number one is living in the blame game. Trap number two is using things in your life externally to distract yourself from you and your feelings. So, honestly, if you've gotten into a lot of dysfunctional relationships, it's probably been because you have had a pattern of avoiding your own feelings. And a lot of people, including you watching this right now, may use other people to fill a hole inside, to fill a fantasy of, oh, when I meet the right person, or when I have a partner, when I'm in a relationship, my life will feel better. And what I know personally from experience and working with clients is that never works. You ultimately wind up with somebody who's unable to give you what you need because, on one level, expecting to feel fulfilled by one person is a tall order and a very big ask, and it's unrealistic. And then, number two, when you're banking on your outer environment to make you feel a certain way, you are always going to feel disappointed because the world doesn't cater to you. People don't cater to you, right? You're in control of your feelings. You're responsible for your feeling. You're responsible for your choices. Now, I understand if you have conditioning in your past and you have past relational trauma, it becomes challenging to take ownership of your feelings. It becomes challenging to know how to regulate your feelings. It becomes challenging to know how to do things differently. And this is why we do what we do here at Break the Cycle. But if you are distracting yourself, having a partner, dating, maybe when you're not ready, you don't want to be alone. I see this a lot, especially with women who are exiting long term marriages and have been married for many years. They are terrified of being alone. They might not openly admit it, but they chronically fill the free time that they have with busyness. I just got off the phone with somebody today who spent 80 to 90 hours of her week at work or busy with projects at home. She never gave herself time to relax and just be. And when you are using chronic busyness as a distraction, chronic busyness is a trauma response. Because when you were in a relationship and you were trying to make it work and you were walking on eggshells and you were living in fear and uncertainty all the time, it changes the way your brain is functioning and wired. And your fight or flight center, your amygdala, the reptilian emotional part of your brain, becomes hyperactive and looks for threats, usually to protect you, number one, but looks for threats and perceives threats where there sometimes aren't any. So your amygdala gets overused. And just like brakes on a car, if you overuse the brakes on your car, or if you drive a stick shift and you overuse and you don't use the stick shift and you don't shift correctly, you burn up your brake pads or you burn out your clutch, right? So the same thing happens when you have unhealed trauma. A lot of people with unhealed trauma have a lot of physical issues, physical health issues, autoimmune disorders, diseases, cancer, IBS, IBD. They feel drained energetically all the time. They don't have a lot of energy, and the reason for this is because she's so consumed, it becomes like an automatic unconscious habit to look for threats and to feel like she's got to defend herself and be on guard all the time. So, chronic busyness is a distraction. Other men are a distraction. Hobbies are a distraction. Sugar, shopping, sex, spending frivolously, all of these things are distractions to give you a peak experience to temporarily lift you out of feeling like something's wrong with you. But then once that experience is over, you go right back down. And not just people who are out of a divorce or a toxic relationship, a lot of people live this way, but they don't ever really change and make lasting transformation. So don't get hooked into buying into peak experiences. Be courageous enough and brave enough to face yourself and properly heal your trauma and learn how to be vulnerable again and drop the walls so that you can open yourself to life and open yourself to other partners, other types of partners. Really let somebody in for the first time ever in your life. Is it scary? Yes. What's scarier, that or living a life of regret? Point number three that I wanted to make, or trap number three, and if you've been following me a while, you've probably heard this before, but again, worth repeating, continuing to research the narcissist or continuing to research the sociopath or the psychopath or the narcissistic acts or being a child of a narcissistic parent. Listen, I did a lot of research, a lot, reams and reams, days, months. That's all I did. My research to narcissism replaced the addiction I had to my ex for months at a time. And did I get any better? No. So it's helpful in the beginning. It's eye opening, especially when you are waking up to the fact something is seriously wrong in my relationship. I know my intuition is telling me something. What's wrong here? Great. You find out, you read the signs of a narcissist, your ex matches that to a T. Wonderful. But what I find far too often is that a lot of women, and these are really high functioning, smart, educated, successful women, will get stuck in the research phase. And when you get stuck in the research phase, what you're really doing is absolving yourself of taking ownership for your own dysfunctional behavior. Was talking with somebody earlier today who said the men that she meets tears her walls down, and it was like a stance of everybody takes advantage of her. And if you're really honest with yourself, and it's not easy to do, it's not necessarily that people are taking advantage of you, it's that you are likely overriding your intuition and ignoring a lot of red flags. And people ignore a lot of red flags often because it's a trauma response from the past. They had to ignore bad behavior in order to survive, and they carry that pattern with them into their adult life. But continuing to research the narcissist just keeps your focus off of yourself, which is who you really need to be looking very closely at, not the other person. If you want to properly heal, specifically heal your complex trauma, your trust issues, your codependency, and then make very bold, different, empowering choices in your love life moving forward and relationship modeling for your kids. I work a lot with women who feel extremely guilty because they have made such challenging choices, dysfunctional choices in her love life. Her kids are now repeating those choices. Her kids want nothing to do with a relationship because her kids have seen her struggle so much. So there's a lot at stake when you've been living 30, 40, 50 years of your life like this. And the last and final trap that I'll talk about is just being numb, just being emotionally numb. I can't tell you how many calls I've done with women who they're talking about they're afraid of dying alone. They go to bed crying every night. They work 70 hours at their nursing job and hate coming home, hate the drive home because they hate being alone. And as they are saying these things, it's like there's no emotional connection there because they've had to remove themselves emotionally to survive, number one, a divorce or a bad relationship, but it's like they get emotionally stunted. And what I know to be true is that if you are emotionally numb and you're turning to work to fill the hole, shopping to fill the hole, mindlessly scrolling your phone for 7 hours to fill the hole, distracting yourself and avoiding yourself. And whenever you have a moment by yourself at night when you're home alone, or maybe your kids are with their dad, or your kids are out of the house and they just moved out, or whatever, when they have a moment alone, all of the feelings come up and they immediately want to avoid that. If you continue that avoidance pattern, you are essentially emotionally unavailable. And what I know to be true is if you're unavailable for yourself and you abandon yourself, especially when you need you the most, you're going to continue to attract partners who are like that. What I also know to be true is continuing to research the narcissist and your toxic childhood. Helpful, but logical awareness. But again, it's not deep enough to properly address and get to those subconscious programs and then train you to change those subconscious programs and use an evidence-based method to heal that trauma and help you feel differently every single day, think differently every single day, make different choices every single day. So healing this pattern isn't necessarily complicated. Is it easy? No, it can be simple when you follow a simple proven strategy for healing trauma, but it requires a lot of dedication and it requires fierce commitment. It requires an emotional conviction. If you're in this space right now where you're like, I'll die alone, and you're so numb and tuned out that you have no motivation or no drive to solve this, I wish you the best. Probably wouldn't be a good fit, right? Continue researching. Sometimes things have to get really bad for people in order for them to be really ready to fix it. Like alcoholics have to usually hit rock bottom before they're truly ready to finally completely be done for good. So, just to quickly recap what not to do when healing after your divorce or a narcissistic ex. Step number one, trap number one is living in the blame game. And people will camp out here for years, years. And I've worked with these people. It's not a fun place to be. It really keeps you stuck. And what's sad is that a lot of people would rather continue holding on to their blame because at least they feel something rather than let that go, learn how to be vulnerable, let go of her past, open her heart, and move into a new future and move into attracting a new partner. So, blame will keep you stuck. It will keep you being an energetic and an emotional match for somebody who's unavailable, number one, due to his own issues. Number two, somebody who may need to victimize somebody else or have control over somebody else to have some kind of significance. And number three, blame, living in blame, guilt, shame, sadness, anger, fear, grief. All of these are survival emotions that a lot of people repress. And when you have a lot of repressed emotions and you're living like that every day, you're basically jacking your fight or flight system and living in fight or flight when you don't need to be, when there's another way. And when you live in fight or flight every day, your body physically starts to break down. Your immune system goes down the toilet. You have more physical problems and you feel even more like a victim, and it begins to snowball. So, being the victim and living in blame is probably the largest mistake, the largest trap I see people getting stuck in. Second trap is using things outside of yourself to temporarily lift you out or distract yourself from feeling your feelings, being a workaholic, and being on 14 different boards of directors and doing and having zero time for yourself, shopping a lot, drinking wine every night, things you use to dull the pain and dull your connection with yourself. And if you're doing that, again, a lot of that is a trauma response because your brain has been changed if you've been in an emotionally abusive relationship. But these are just coping. It's like a band-aid. It doesn't heal your trauma. It makes you temporarily feel better, but if you keep doing that, it's like you're taking an aspirin every day when you really need to have open heart surgery. So that's the second trap is staying chronically busy, using distractions in your life to numb yourself, to keep yourself emotionally distracted so you don't have time to be with yourself. Trap number 3, it slipped my mind. Oh, trap number 3 is getting trapped in the research phase and not taking responsibility for your own toxic traits, for your own emotional unavailability. I work a lot, not a lot. I will say sometimes 20 to 30% of the time with women who have had such a tough time in relationships that they're now the emotionally avoidant person. They're emotionally unavailable, whereas before the trauma, they were really hopeful and really they had an open heart, they were open, they were willing to let somebody in, and 5 years goes by since her divorce, and she's been on 3 dates, hasn't had any type of intimacy, physical intimacy, emotional intimacy with anybody, becomes a workaholic. So when you live like that, you're essentially the issue. You're blocking what you want. And it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of self awareness to realize that. And it takes a lot of courage to move forward and let go of the blame game, let go of your unhealthy coping skills, learn to heal your past relational trauma, and learn how to open your heart and attract somebody amazing and communicate clearly and take your energy back from all of the people pleasing, poor boundaries, ways that you drain yourself, ways that you keep yourself small. So, those are the traps just to be aware of and ask yourself honestly, am I guilty of making these mistakes? Is this me right now? And if it is you, and you're sick and tired of staying stuck, and I don't mean, oh, yeah, I kind of want to change with me. No, if you're done with being stuck, and if you've had a lot of talk therapy and you've gotten a lot of insights, but it's not moving you forward, it's not actually getting you where you want to go, if you're tired of feeling numb, if you're tired of wondering if you're going to die alone, if you're tired of wondering what's wrong with you and you know that you are the issue, you know that you're the problem. It doesn't make what other people did to you right, but you know that you are standing in your own way and you are tired of sabotaging yourself and you're tired of keeping yourself small. Then I really encourage you to go to bethany.com, book a free breakthrough session. If you've been watching me for a while and you've been thinking about doing it and you keep talking yourself out of it, ask yourself honestly, what do I have to lose at this point, right? The worst case scenario is that we decide maybe it's not a perfect fit when you're working with a coach or working with a therapist. You need to have a good rapport. You need to resonate with that person. You need to feel like they get you. You need to feel like you can trust that person, right? So if we have a conversation, we decide, I'm not really sure, we're not really sure we can help you, we're going to send you and steer you in the next step that's free, that's going to get you the next milestone in your healing journey. But if you're ready to have an honest conversation about stepping out of your own way and properly healing your relational trauma and learning to feel more love in your life, whether or not you want a partner right now, who cares? Most people just want to feel happy. They think a partner is going to give them that, but you have to be happy right now. And if you want to feel happy right now and you want to open up your life and you want to feel in love with your life and you want to feel at peace in your heart every single day, and you want to learn how to date and not get frustrated and not feel like a victim in everything that you do, then go to bethany.com/talk, book a free breakthrough call. I want to put a caveat on this because we do have qualifications that we ask women to meet. The first one is that you're successful in other areas of your life. We're coaches, not therapists. Coaching is best for people who have stability and success in other life areas like her career, her home life, etc. If you feel like every area of your life is a meltdown mode and you're struggling to get out of bed every day, you probably need therapy. Okay. The second thing is that you're completely single. You're not hoping to go back to your ex. You're not dating or sleeping with somebody who you really hope wants a commitment from you and you've been doing this for the last year and you hoping that he's going to change. You're completely done. And you're completely, and we say that because you cannot, like an alcoholic, cannot heal and get clean and sober and change if he's still drinking. So you can't heal your trauma and truly change and have different relationship patterns if you're still holding on to a dysfunctional relationship. So that's the first. The second thing. The third thing is we like prefer people because we work in trauma recovery to help have we prefer third thing I can't talk. Third qualification, prior therapy, some prior talk therapy. Number 1, we want to see that you've tried things and failed, right? I posted something recently. Winston Churchill said, success, really success, is trying things over and over, meeting failure after failure without any loss of enthusiasm. And unfortunately, if you've had a lot of pain in your relationships and you're dating and continuing to meet frustration and more disappointment, you've lost a lot of enthusiasm. We ask for people to have talk therapy because it shows initiative. It shows that you've had some serious investment in trying to fix yourself and trying to change this. And you've got a level of self awareness, right? People typically, what we found is that people who don't have any talk therapy or any prior therapy or any professional help in the past are not quite ready for the work that we offer here. So those are the 3 qualifications that we ask you to meet. Again, BethanyDotson.com/talk if you're interested in having an honest, eye-opening breakthrough session about what exactly is standing in your way and how to move forward. If we can help you get from point A to B, we'll show you exactly what that looks like. If we cannot help you get from point A to point B, we will kindly and politely and compassionately say, hey, I think this is going to be a better option for you. So that's all I have for you today. The year is halfway over. The year is halfway over. Think about that. How much longer are you willing to wait? Have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. A brand new episode drops each week. Be sure to click and subscribe. And remember, healing trauma, codependency, and your lifelong pattern in love does not happen by itself. You need expert guidance and evidence-based methods. And I've helped hundreds of incredible women from all over the country heal betrayal trauma and reclaim their confidence while falling wildly in love with their own lives and attracting healthy relationships. If you like what you heard today and you want to see if you're fit to work with us, go to BethanyDotson.com/talk. That's BethanyDotson.com/talk and book a call to speak with us today. We'll get on the phone for about 45 minutes and get you crystal clear on 3 things. The real reason you keep attracting dysfunctional relationships, even if you know better or even if you've done tons of work on yourself. What you really want in a relationship, how you want to feel emotionally every single day in your life, and what lifestyle changes you want to make. And then number 3, the exact strategy you need to be using to get there. Again, healing trust issues, codependency, and a lifelong pattern does not happen without expert guidance. We've helped hundreds of women across the country heal complex trauma, codependency, and have the healthiest relationships ever, both with themselves and with others. Go to BethanyDotson.com/talk to book your call today. I'll see you on the next episode.